Hello. Just sitting here on my Todd, seeing if someone will arrive. Oh, hopefully it'll work this time. We had a few technical difficulties. How are you, Sarah? Ah, good, good. I'm not very technical with all this. Hi, Anna. Hello.
Hi.
It took a while, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, I know. We're all still trying to figure out this technology, so.
Yeah, I'm not very good at Instagram either. I haven't done many lives or anything, so I couldn't even
Okay.
find how to turn it on, but we got there in the end.
Okay. I'm sorry that we won't be able to see Laura, but she can write us her questions or ask anything she needs or direct a little bit. But
Yes.
normally I'm the one interviewing on the Insta Live. And
Okay.
a lot of different winemakers, I'm the interviewer, so I'm not used to being the interviewee.
Okay. The roles have changed.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about you? So, like, where you're from. So, obviously, your name is Italian, but
Yeah.
you are, as everyone can hear, you are actually American.
Right. So can you all hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, Laura's there. There she is.
These are all most of your students who are on, some of your students are on the chat.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
there are some students and some old
Okay.
friends and just people who follow the school in general.
Okay. I will try to speak a little slowly and clearly for the students out there. Yeah, so actually, if I can say right away, the Bridge School was like the reason why I came to Italy from California. So,
Wow.
yes, it's very an emotional experience to be back connected with the Bridge somehow. I'm from Napa, California. So it's a grape growing region, famous, some of the most famous wines in the world. I grew up in a little tiny town called Sonoma, which is also very famous. It's like saying Barbaresco or Barolo, kind of.
Okay.
And
So
then,
it's famous for its wine.
yeah. And then now when I go home, it is in the city of Napa. So
Okay.
I basically have been around wine my whole life. My family was one of the few families in my around that did not work in wine, but I was exposed to it, not drinking it, but exposed to seeing vineyards everywhere, living around it, going to my friends' houses who had wineries. And I think when you're little, you don't realize what you have might be unique or it's a unique place until you start to travel.
Yes.
And so basically, I mean, I think there was probably always an attraction to wine because I was used to, at a certain age, of course, after 21 years old in the US, when you can start to drink, some of my old college friends all of a sudden were like, "Oh, we're going to Napa for a spring girls trip," or people started coming out to Napa for vacations. So I would always be in charge of driving them around and taking them to wineries. And so I remember that feeling when I was probably 21, where I finally found my wine, and it was a rosé at a certain winery. And it was the first time I felt like I'm a grown up, I'm an adult. This is my favorite wine. I take you to my favorite winery. And it kind of was like a rite of passage, I guess, like to enter into this adult world. And then, but I was not really like obsessed with wine or studying it very much or anything. And then, but my dream had always been to go to Italy. Like you said, my name is Italian. My father's side of the family is from Italian origin.
Okay.
Partly from Abruzzo and partly from Puglia.
So a bit further south than
Yes.
us. Okay.
And to make a long, it's a long story, of course, but to make a long story short, after not being able to do my junior year abroad, which you call in Italian the Erasmus,
Yeah.
I was already going to go to Rome, like my parents did, like my grandparents did, and I ended up changing schools, and I couldn't do it. And so I said, one day I will go to Italy. So after college or university, I contacted everybody I knew to try to find a way to get to Italy to actually work. And a family friend who's also from Sonoma, California, he was a teacher at the bridge school.
Oh, wow.
Like 20 years ago. And he contacted me and he said, hey, Anna, like if you want to go, this school is looking for a teacher. And it all kind of took me by surprise because they needed someone like ASAP right away,
And
immediately.
how long ago was this? How old were you at the time?
I was only 22 years old.
Ah, okay.
And that was 15 years ago. So you know my age now.
It's not that much more than me, and I was the same kind of age when I came here as well, so
Okay.
I can identify with the experience.
Yeah. And I just jumped into like, okay, I gotta go. And I was kind of fighting for the position with someone else to be the teacher, but I had never taught English. And and it was like, he was like, this school is in a town called, at that time there was the school in Saluzzo.
Yeah.
And this tiny little school in Saluzzo in Piedmont. And I was like, where the heck is Piedmont? I had no idea where that is. All I knew was like Rome and South, you know?
Yeah.
And even my family, they're like, okay, you're going to Italy, but why are you going to the north, you know?
People still ask me that now, why I'm here in particular in Cornwall.
And where are you originally from?
Near London, Walton-on-Thames.
Okay.
So it's about 20 minutes, half an hour from the centre of London.
Nice.
Yeah, it's quite a big change, but like I suppose it was for you as well from California.
Right, yeah. Especially, I mean, for me, the weather, I'll never forget when I landed. I had no idea, you know, I didn't know how to speak Italian. I had no idea where I was going to live. I had no accommodation, no training. I was just like, I remember walking off the airport, like, I don't know who's picking me up. I hope someone recognizes me. Yeah. And it was pouring rain and it was cold. It was October. It was like, what did I just do?
You literally threw yourself in at the deep end.
Yeah. So then I started teaching in Saluzzo at the bridge.
Wow. And how did you go from teaching English to then going back to your passion about wines? Because obviously you said how you used to show people around in California when you had it there, but found that was an actual real passion for yours that you wanted to become a career.
Right. So I often think about this, how it all kind of happened. I loved teaching English. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was really, I found this new love for English teaching, and there was a lot of need for that in the area. And then I started teaching at the high schools as a lettrice, and I loved working with the kids. But always, you know, I think I was really, no, I don't think, I know, I was very lonely for many months in the winter, and I had nothing to do. There were no smartphones. I had no internet. I would play like solitaire on my computer. And I remember just not knowing about the cuisine, or like I'd go to the grocery store and I didn't recognize any wines. And I felt kind of ignorant that I had no idea what Barolo was, or Dolcetto, or these kind of wines. So what I did is I bought this book that I still have.
Okay.
It's just called Vino Italiano, The Wine Regions of Italy. It's by 𝘽𝙖𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙧.
Ah, yes, he does MasterChef, doesn't he?
Yeah, and David Lynch.
Okay.
And it's a very simple book that's easy to read. And I just like, I went through this entire book so quickly, and it was like something clicked, and I just fell in love with this world of wine. So it's kind of a drug. So, and it's not about drinking for me. I do like to have a good time, but it's not about the drinking. It's about, for me, the learning process. And
Yeah.
it's the never ending knowledge with wine, where you have to learn about geography, every region in the world, what grapes grow there, the climate, the history. It's so much to learn.
I can
So
imagine it's a huge subject.
yeah, I just became like a monster. Like I ate up all these books and I just read about wine. And then also I just saw that my husband signed on. His name is Barolo Lovers, and he was maybe my first or second student ever at the bridge.
Oh, wow. That's how you met as well. So the bridge is important for you, say, in your
Yes.
life in Italy.
So I remember I became friends with him, and he had a car, and he and a few other friends I had started to take me in the Langhe. And I just thought, like, oh my God, it just called me, like, this is where I belong. I grew up in a place like this. This is the Italy that I imagine. Saluzzo is beautiful, but it's more of a mountain kind of environment.
Yes.
And so when I just discovered the Langhe, I fell in love, and I said, you know what, there's so much potential. Nobody knows this place 15 years ago. I need to talk about my discoveries. And just think, there was not even a Lonely Planet book at that time that mentioned Piedmont, did not even mention. Or Rick Steves, he'd never had a book about Piemonte. So,
and so what do you do now? So you organize tours and introduce people to new wines. Tell us about who your customers are as well.
So just real quick, how I made that transition. I worked different jobs and I had to get experience. So I did the sommelier course, which is called 𝚪, and it's in Italian. And then I also decided to really have your kind of foot in the door. I needed to work at a winery. So I worked at a very famous winery in Barolo to get experience. And at the same time, I was developing this business idea, which would basically customize private tours for foreigners, take them around. The roads were tough here. Complex wines, this wine region. I'm looking.
Are we having some technical difficulties? No. Can you hear me? Technology is not liking us this evening. No. Ah, okay. Laura can hear me, but we can't hear you. Okay. And then I think we'll invite her in again. Yeah, I think there must be. Ah, okay. Here she is. Let's try again. Ah, I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know why that happened.
No problems.
So I basically, I just deal with very small groups and I personalize everything. This is a very complex wine region. The more you start learning about it, it's up there with like Burgundy, you know? So anyway, it takes explaining. It's hard to get around. 15 years ago, how long have you been here?
13 years this year.
Okay, so a lot of people, it was, I guess, the older generation about 15 years ago, they didn't speak English. So
They
now,
just about maybe speak to you in Italian.
right, exactly. A lot of dialects going
Yeah.
on. And so I thought, you know, someone needs to kind of, you know, share this gem that I found. And so from there, I just started. It's a very small business, and it's just my husband and I, and we take people around and we customize itineraries, and we visit not only wineries, but we also do truffle hunts.
Okay.
We do cheese tastings. We visit hazelnut farms.
Yummy.
And so it's really fun. It's like the best job in the world, unless it's a COVID coronavirus time, and now we have no
I can
wine.
imagine, yeah, it's not been a great period for you at the moment.
Yeah.
Sarah said she missed what you said you did to learn about Italian wines when you first arrived. So you said,
I self-taught, so I read a lot of books, and the one I showed you is where I started, Vino Italiano, and then I did a sommelier course. So that's an official, you know, the sommelier is the one who is the wine expert in a restaurant, and he serves the wine, he chooses your wine. So I did the sommelier course. And then I also just did a different certificate, which is from London.
Okay.
It's called WSET or WSET, however you want to call it. So it's just constantly, you know, getting those certifications and reading. And the best way to learn is that I go out every day and talk straight to the winemakers.
So I take it your Italian has improved over the years as well, because you had to study in Italian, and obviously now you have to talk to the growers and different cellars and places.
Right. Oh, sometimes it's hard for me to speak English now. Yeah, I mean, my husband's Italian. When I came here, like I said, I mean, years of not dealing with anyone in Saluzzo who could speak a word of English. So I had to study also a lot of English on my Italian on my own, and do a lot of, you know, grammar exercises and stuff. And I studied hard also for Italian.
Okay. And who are your typical clients? So is it mostly foreign visitors rather than people in Italy?
Yes, I would say I don't even know if I've had any Italians.
Okay, that could be a good opportunity for us, because we were kind of thinking of maybe organising a tour with you if there was a group interested, and we could do it in Italian and English. Might just put that out there, see if anyone is maybe interested in that.
I
But
would love
yeah,
to do that. There's so many incredibly beautiful little places off the beaten path that are worth exploring. And, you know, we could practice English, we can drink wine, which helps with loosening you up a little to speak Italian or English.
It does. It always helps.
And especially now, I mean, I mainly do tours for Americans, a lot of Australians too. And now I have no tours. And the only people who can travel around right now are Italian. So, you know, it would be perfect.
Okay, we should try and organize that then. Definitely.
Yeah,
We'll
just
put the feelers out. Um, so most of your bookings are USA and Australia. Um, what was I going to say? Someone asked the other day as well if there's any magazines or general literature that you would recommend to people who might want to find something more about wine.
um yes. So like magazines, things like that, I don't have too many suggestions, but I do have some books near me that
Mm-hmm.
people can check out. And if you follow me now on my Instagram, you can write me
Mm-hmm.
in private, and I can also write you the names. Um,
Okay.
a really great book about the Barolo and Barbaresco area is
The
it's
king and queen of, yeah.
it's simply just called Barolo and Barbaresco. It's by Kieran O'Keefe. She's a wine journalist, and it's a nice mix between stories, more statistical things about wine. So that's a kind of nice beginner's book. And then for wine in general, I think if people aren't following her already, Wine Folly is a really great
Okay.
um, to start and talk. She just has diagrams and really nice way of explaining things. Ciao, Luisa. We have a Barbaresco producer with us right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm helping people practice their English and talking about wine at the same time. So, um, so yeah, those are the books that I would recommend. Also following Wine Folly on the internet, on social
Mm-hmm.
media. She's really, really great. And then if you want to get really technical, it's called Barolo MGA Enoteca.
Okay.
And this is like gets into what I was talking about. Sorry, this is really hard, but there's maps. It's like
Mm-hmm.
for the wine nerds, you know, like maps and soil types and geological eras and things like that. So
Mm-hmm. Sarah's asking if now you prefer Italian wine to Californian wine.
that's a great question. I can say, without offending anyone, 100% prefer Italian wine.
Well done. And what is your favorite wine? Do you have one in particular, or do you have a few select favorites?
That's the beauty of this area all over Italy. There's just so many great varieties, and but I'm a Nebbiolo girl, so anything
Okay.
Nebbiolo. So Barolo and Barbaresco, for those who don't know, is made from the Nebbiolo grape, and you can also find more affordable, cheaper versions in a way
Mm-hmm.
called Langhe Nebbiolo, which is just the easy wine without making an investment, you know, like a Barolo. So that's my favorite grape. That's my favorite wine.
Okay, yeah, because I
What
was
a,
going to ask about prices, if you had some recommendations of maybe like more economic prices, because I think lots of people imagine and know that Barolo and Barbaresco, they're not cheap, let's say. Do you have recommendations for different budgets?
Actually, you know, that's the beauty of living here. Things, you know, we don't have to pay the export prices and all of the middlemen. So if you go straight to the wineries, you can still find really good deals, really good prices. With Barolo, it's getting hard because Barolo is now discovered. So
Mm.
I'm lucky for my business that it's discovered. But small, little, like rustic wineries, you can still find what we would call like a classic Barolo. So coming from different vineyard sites, you could find for 25 euros for a
Mm-hmm.
bottle. And to me, that's really a good price because, you know, you're drinking something that's been aged in a cellar for 4 years that can age another 15 years in the bottle. It's unique. So to me, that's a reasonable price. If not, you always go for the barberas or the dolcettos, and those are, you know, can be 10 euros. So for me, that's a good price. Considering in Napa, you get a glass of Sauvignon Blanc for 17 euros. Here, you could get a couple bottles of wine for that.
Yeah.
So you just have to know where to go. Also, Barbaresco compared to Barolo, it's almost the same wine, just from a different region.
Okay.
And that sometimes is half the price, maybe not half the price, but definitely a little bit less compared to Barolo.
Oh, okay. My friend from England, Jenny, wants to know if you still like that Californian rosé that you discovered when you were 21 that you said was your wine. No? Have your
No,
tastes changed?
I can imagine that, you know, those who started out on Boone's Farm or wine coolers or things like that, we don't like those anymore. But we all have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
It was from a good winery, I have to say that.
Okay. Sarah also asks, how do you recommend those living in the UK to source good wine at good prices?
That's another good. Thank you for asking questions. That's makes it more fun. Well, I will do a little plug for my wine club. I also started my own wine club last year. It's called the Barolo Wine Club. If you look, barolowineclub.com.
I wanted to ask you about that as well because I had a little look before. Yeah, please tell us about it.
And so, you know, it's expensive because those prices on my website are for the American market, and shipping is very expensive to the US. But the UK, you know, you have really good shipping prices, so that would definitely drop the price. And that's what I try to do. I like value wines, or, you know, maybe not necessarily the famous ones, but something great quality, but a better value. So I think you should make a trip here and we can go around and find them, or you can check out the wine club, or just, I guess, trust in a wine shop that knows our area well, that can explain it to you, and it's not just the big names. But too cheap of wines, like too cheap of a Barolo, I would be a little concerned that you're getting a mass-produced product.
What is too cheap of a Barolo? Because I've seen all sorts of prices, so I'm just curious.
Really? I don't, tell me what, I mean, what prices have you seen for Barolo?
Well, obviously, I think like acceptable ones, I think like you said, 20, 25. But I think I have seen things for like 11, and it is a bit suspicious. My friend Jenny in England says £16
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
UK.
that's tough. I would say, I mean, it's possible that they taste good. It's just a pity to me to, you know, maybe it's from a big, what we call co-op, where they just buy all the grapes, as many as they can, pay by the kilo. So you don't know if they're spraying stuff on those grapes. You don't know what's going on. Whereas the cheaper Barolos here are from just smaller wineries that don't really export much. They don't have labor, you know, employees. So it's just the family, and
Yeah, they can have lower
yeah,
prices because they've got lower costs.
right. So, you know, but once it's being exported abroad, I would say under 20 euros is a little suspicious, maybe.
That's interesting.
But I don't want to be a wine snob, but it's just, you know, you want to support the quality producers, I think.
Definitely, yeah. I think too low, it's undervalued as well.
Yeah, definitely. So.
What else did I want to ask? Has anyone else got any questions? I'm loving the questions that are coming in.
Or questions about the, you know, wine, anything wine related, the grapes or the region or rules or.
Like, how do you decide creating a tour and personalizing it to someone? How do you decide where to take them, and what to show them? What kinds of things like that?
So just in the area, there's about 700 wineries, pretty much between Barolo, Barbaresco, and the Roero area. And in my portfolio, I have about 200 wineries that I rotate.
Wow.
And that's where I hope to distinguish myself, is that there's a lot of planning ahead of time, one-on-one with the clients, to understand, do you like smooth, big body wines? Do you like more Pinot Noirs that are, lighter side? Do you like to figure out what their tastes are? Also, how much money they are comfortable with buying a bottle, their wine knowledge, if they want just nice views, if they want, I have a form that they fill out with my questions, and then we go back and forth with emails. So I really, really try to
Wow.
personalize them.
It's making me very interested.
Do you go to the Langhe often?
I've been here 13 years, and a few years ago, I hadn't ever been to a wine tasting. And I think that year, I decided that was the thing for me that year. So I went to two or three. Then I had a baby, work and everything. But now I really want to do it once or twice a year. With Laura from the bridge, we were talking about it as well. It's just a lovely day out as well. Finding out more about the area, about the wines, getting to taste them, maybe taking a few bottles home. I just think it's a lovely experience as well.
And, people, like I was saying, you don't really know what you have until you leave. And, the Langhe, Roero, all became UNESCO World Heritage Site. Every year it's getting more and more popular and more beautiful and manicured, and the food is getting better. Everything is improving, and it's just right. It's a half an hour away, an hour away.
It really is on our doorstep.
Don't think about just, seeing what's beautiful in your own province or your own region. Can you recommend descriptor that we should try? Well, again, it depends what your tastes are. There's no Barolo alike, two Barolos alike. A very unique wine is Pelle Verga.
Okay.
Which is coming, there's a Pelle Verga from Saluzzo area, but the Pelle Verga di Verduno.
Okay.
I love the story because there's probably, 13, 14 wineries that make this wine from that grape Pelle Verga in the world. So it's very rare. It's Barolo Barbaresco can be kind of tough because it's dry. It's what we call tannic. It's not an easy wine to drink. And Pelle Verga, on the other hand, is completely different because it smells and tastes like strawberries. You can chill it. You can chill it and drink it almost like a rosé. But what makes it unique is that it has this really strong white pepper smell.
Oh, wow.
So you're drinking like a very easygoing, like coiffer, like raspberry, strawberry wine, but you have this element of that spice, the pepper that cuts it, which makes it really, it's like a sommelier's dream wine because you can pair it with anything. It goes well with everything, even by itself.
Wow. I've written it down. I'm curious in that. And like you said, after the live, we'll get the names of the books that you recommended, so that if people are interested, we can post those as well. I wonder if anyone has. You were saying.
You can also follow me because I post stuff all the time about the wine.
Sarah's wondering what the price range of that wine is.
This is another great thing about Pelle Verga, is that it's normally 10 to 15 euros a bottle.
Very, very reasonable.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's tons of really interesting grapes, more than just Nebbiolo. And like I said, I would be happy even to give you recommendations of my favorite restaurants, of my favorite wineries, and let's, you're welcome. Definitely organize a little group trip and we could make the wineries speak English because they're used to speaking English to visitors.
That year that I went to a few wine tastings, I took one of my friends there with her husband, so I booked it all in English, and it was nice
Good.
to hear. Also, because it's also stuff that I'm always used to hearing in Italian as well, so it was lovely for me to hear it all explained in English.
Excellent.
Mm,
Yeah, it's fun. It's a nice little getaway.
definitely, we'll have to organise that then. Right, I'm wondering if anyone else has any more questions. It's all a bit silent now. I think maybe we've given everyone all the information that they need at the moment.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Well, it was lovely speaking to you. I've
You
always heard
too.
a lot about you. It was nice to meet you, if we can say that.
Yes, I know. I would love to see Laura again too, and visit the old school again.
Mm, go back to your roots, as it
Exactly.
were.
Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I'm sorry that we had a rough start, but
No, me too. It took us a while to
it
get
happens.
going, but we got there in the end.
It happens. So you guys, just follow my Instagram name, and then that way, who wants to ask me questions, I can send them more information through there. And I have my website and everything. So
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks for
okay.
explaining everything to us and telling us about it all.
No, thank you guys.
All right, thanks. Hope to
Enjoy
see you
your evening.
soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.